between 4th and 3rd. I'm not gonna say too much, everybody knows about the Abernathy House. The old courthouse. Tuscumbia thought it would be in a courthouse, and you know, they tried to take, they used to be part of Franklin County until 1867. They tried to take the county seat away from Russell. They never succeeded in doing so, but they did get it to move it one time. But after the war, they changed it over and made Culver County. And they had to vote between Tuscumbia and Cherokee as the county seat. Tuscumbia won by a pretty good landslide. And they decided to build a courthouse, and they wanted to build a nice courthouse. This picture came off a postcard. It's not that good a quality. But I'll show you another one that tells you what kind of courthouse we had. That's the original courthouse. How many has ever seen that picture? Y'all cheat, y'all seen my stuff. You notice anything about the way this is laid out? Does it look like that today, only white? Think about that a minute.
Is this the right side tower, maybe?
All right, you'll see the clock's in the wrong place.
Yeah.
All right. It burned. Story of our lives. The fire came on the east side. Started upstairs on the east side. Tuscumbia Fire Department arrives there and put it out. They hooked it to the hose, split up there, and the water won't even go to the second level. So they had to turn around and ask Sheffield to turn all their hoses on power. Tuscumbia put all theirs on, till enough water to squirt up into the second story windows. Sheffield got ready to go, got everything ready, Tuscumbia never called them, so they weren't allowed to come help put the fire out. Tuscumbia reason was, we don't have enough water to put up there, they don't either. And they were able to save nearly all the downstairs and all the paperwork. When they decided to redo it, they decided to use all the brick structure that was there in good shape and put back the same courthouse, using the same structure. When it was finished, it looked like this. It was painted white for the same reason we have a whiteout, because of the fire. They couldn't clean the brick off, so they just painted it all white. That's from when they were out there repainting the tank, water tank. I said, would y'all be so kind as to? They did, they took me some pictures. That's off the water tank. Back when the courthouse was built, they took a picture of town from top of the courthouse. This is what it looked like. The Horn House Hotel here, which is now 2-story, Tuscumbia was formed, Culver County was formed in the 2nd story. The Masonic Lodge courthouse was upstairs, and some of the judges and stuff were, offices were down in the 2nd story in the 3rd one business. That's when they moved the stuff over to the new, I call it new, Masonic Lodge. It's an old building. Here's a Kirk Isbell, still standing in this picture. You see this was still 3-story. Here's the Young's Carriage Shop. These little shops that was in between. You can see the tracks going through town here on 5th Street. There's the old First Methodist Church. There's your Coca-Cola bin for your fire station. Tuscumbia Public School, and in the back, I think you can see the First Baptist Church, and what was the other one? Between 2nd and 3rd. Anybody guess what this one is?
Culver Motel is what it says. Where it is?
Yeah, what it is. Whose home was this originally?
I don't know.
It says that's Main Street, so between 2nd and 3rd.
Here's mine. Help you a little bit. What's this building?
That staple was like the Presbyterian Church,
Is that the courthouse?
Jesna Female Institute.
Oh, okay.
There's a funeral institute.
And what was on the block of the Jesna Female Institute?
Oh,
He gave the home to be used as a place to bring the women in to live when they went to school, for boarding house and hotel. This is David Dessler's home. Gives you some idea of the richest man in Colbert County. One of the richest man in Tuscumbia.
How did he make his money?
He came here, I think, with some.
Oh,
He was very bad. He had some money, so when somebody would go broke, the bank was closed on him, he'd go to the auction, he'd buy it, fix it up, and sell it. He made a killing doing that. When he died, he owned half of Tuscumbia.
What was his last name, John?
Dessler, David Dessler.
Okay, David Dessler, okay.
This is the house that,
Yeah, he was involved in a lot of.
yeah, he was involved in everything. But I think that's where he made most of his money. When he died, yeah, he was big investor in railroad. He owned the railroad for a while.
Wasn't he responsible for bringing it here?
Bringing the train, yes. He went to Philadelphia, came back here for a meeting. He brought a little wooden model of a steam engine, put it on the table and said, "This is the future." And he was the only man who knew anything about it. And so he had an idea, and it ended up being the future railroad. When he died, like I said, he owned half of Tuscumbia. But he left in his will, since his son was killed at the Battle of Chickamauga, he left in his will that whoever gets his estate has to prove they did nothing against the Confederacy. They could not have helped the Union in any way.
Yeah.
There was only one person they found that could qualify for that. And this one person got his whole estate. He became the richest man in his town. I forgot where he was, I've seen it. Instantly became the richest man in his town. And he was more or less a pauper when it happened. So that's good to be the king, I guess.
This is Morris Lentz, and you're watching North Alabama Local History.
Dessler Female Institute. Dessler High School on that location. This is this is the way I remember it was Dessler Main Street School. I was already going to the high school. Rails. Here are the stations in Tuscumbia. The old L&N station. It's located where a building is I'm not going to talk about, because I hated that building when I was a kid. Every time you walked in that building, they had a needle waiting for you. The whole health department, sheesh. I hated that building. You walked in the door, you smelled alcohol. You knew what was fixing to happen to you when mother took you into there. I wanted to head out the door. And I still say, you got a needle? I'm heading out the door. You won't have to catch me. I don't like those needles. Well, it was located there. The train came down Water Street there, in front of the courthouse. It went up there. You ever notice this funny intersection right here? It was sort of a curvy.
Yeah.
That's where they turn the L&N trains around. They could back it up the street here like this, and head it that way, have it turn around going back. This is where they had the Y, turn around. That's one street does this. Reason for everything, isn't it? The freight station was right across in the yard from the depot is today. That's where my dad got paid when I was a kid. We'd go in there, he'd pick up his check. My dad was a railroad engineer. And he'd go in there, and I can remember going in there as a kid. Our depot we have today, the First Street station, built on First Street when Tuscumbia said, "Hey, you're not gonna stop here during the pandemic." They built a new station and moved us out. And they got into an argument, and finally, Southern Railway had to serve both stations. Although the Tennessean did not have to stop at this station, they only had to stop it that way, because it was a fast passenger train. Today, we couldn't imagine riding a train at 85 miles an hour. That was cruising speed of the Tennessean. I rode it. That's moving on. Give you some idea what a water tank looked like. You know, I had to blow this one up to see it, but I couldn't believe it. See that guy sitting on the top right up there, sitting on that wall?
Oh, yeah.
He's reading a newspaper.
Uh-huh.
Sitting up there reading the newspaper. Something missing. Shop Pike is right here, this is in Sheffield. I can't say Sheffield, all right. We get into technicalities here. This is Loyal Yard. It was owned by some Tuscumbia people. And when the railroad wanted to expand the train, these people were loyal to Tuscumbia and said, we'll give you the land to use only for railroad purpose, and it never be in the city limits of Sheffield. So everybody calls that Sheffield now. This is Loyal Yard, classified Tuscumbia, although it's in what we call Sheffield today. They said they weren't going to give them the land if they called it Sheffield could take over. Good old loving each other, isn't it? There's another picture of First Street Station. Here's the track right here going into Tuscumbia. Here's the track to the main line for the station. This is the old roundhouse that was the Loyal Yard. And if you notice it, we used this one to build the one here we have now. This is the design we used. And when it first came up, this is one of the crazy stories again. They hired a man to build the roundhouses, design it. And we had our first meeting. They had the first few meetings without me. They brought me in there and sat down and put one on the table. And I said, this is a Yankee roundhouse. I don't want no Yankee roundhouse. You should have seen the whole city council's face. I said, this is a northern roundhouse. Southern roundhouses look like this. And I started producing pictures. The guy said, that's fine with me. I'll go back and design it after a southern roundhouse. Said, I didn't realize there were two different style of roundhouses. And he was from New York. He went back and designed what we have. And that's a southern roundhouse. High roof so you won't burn up during the summer. Sheffield, the Loyal Yard, pardon me, I keep wanting to say Sheffield. Loyal Yard, here's your roundhouse. You can see all the projects that did there. That was the largest employer this area has ever had. They built borders, they built everything, a border shop, built rail cars, had their own lumber mill. They did everything in these shops. It was the main shops for the Michigan Charleston Railroad when it was built, later Southern. Here's the track, the L&N track going to Tuscumbia right here. And when the union and the railroad got into an argument over what they were going to do when diesels, electrics came in, they lined the bulldozers up right here and went right through and cleared it. The railroad did. The Joe Wheeler, it was the first diesel electric train here. It started every morning in Tuscumbia, went to Chattanooga, came back that afternoon. Everybody in town knew when this train was going out, for one good reason. When they first came up with diesel electric, they didn't put any mufflers on it. They said there wasn't no way to sleep in town when this thing was leaving. So it had to gear low, go through town, then it could get back up. There's a train parked on 5th Street, station in the background. You got the commercial road. There they are taking the tracks up. Now they took up, the railroad took up their tracks. The streetcar went broke, and so they left theirs in the street. So far as I know, they're still under the street. Every once in a while, when the city's working on it, they hit that rail, and they ain't too happy with that either. The whole story is, if you could play baseball real good, you had a job with the Southern Railway. Because this was the best baseball team around anywhere. They always had a place for the railroad. Schools, I'll go through this one. I don't know, right now it's after 11. I don't know what you want to do. I'll just go through this. Jessup Female Institute. Whoa, come on. Here's one nobody's known about. Catholic School for Girls, St. Mary's. This was the school. Here's the Catholic Church.
Where's that located, John?
Sort of across from where the one is now.
Oh, okay, the Catholic Church.
Yeah, Catholic Church is now.
Maybe of the show.
Osborne Academy. I understand Osborne was a hair cutter in the old Parcel House, well-known area for blacks. Tuscumbia Public School, first high school. And guess what happened to it?
Girl,
It burned down. Everything Tuscumbia burns down.
or it gets blown away.
Yeah. Yes, sir. All right, Gilbert Field. How many have heard of Gilbert Field? I'm sure y'all have. Go ahead and raise it. Don't be ashamed. Gilbert Field. I would say that the tennis courts are right here in this picture. Tennis courts over by the junior high. What is it? Yes, sir. Junior high. Where they play there. Tennis courts are right here. And look how they're dressed. In suits. Going to a ball game dressed in a suit. And you can see how flat it is up there on top up there. And they're standing on that hillside. If you ever go down, what's the name of that street? You know Commons? You ever go down it, you know it's raised. And the ball field is down like this. So they're standing on the side of the street right there so they can see the ball game. And they walk down with the play going on. The play goes here and they walk down, watch this play right here. So the crowd moves with the team. Again, Legion Field. Now I think Trenton played their first game in Legion Field because Coach Chappell's helped out it started. And Tuscumbia Municipal Stadium, home of the Desert Tigers and Trenton Wildcats. You see it's being built, the wall's not finished here, 1941. There was a big argument in Tuscumbia about this stadium, one big one. The men against the women. Y'all ever heard that? The women wanted to build a road around Tuscumbia on the Commons and make it a scenic road. The men said, we're going to build a stadium down in that deal. So they got into argument of who's going to get it, so they decided whoever got the money first is going to win this argument. The women got the money first. So they went out there and had the road laid out, surveyed across, well, right here, North Commons. And the day he finished, that night they all disappeared. All the stakes, all the surveying, everything disappeared. The women accused Coach Chapp of it. Coach Chapp said he didn't know nothing about it. So they decided they'd do it again. So they got it, they laid everything out. The day they finished, that night, all the stakes disappeared again. So they gave up trying, so now we have Desert Stadium, our Chapel Stadium, what do you want to call it down here. And when Chapel was older, I wanted to know that it was true, the football team was the one picking up all the stakes. So I thought I'd just ask him. He looked at me and he said, all I'm going to tell you, John, he said, I ain't going to admit to nothing. All I'm going to tell you is they did disappear and all in one night. So he was sort of admitting that he did get rid of those stakes. Dester's first state championship game, 1935. That was the year Bear Bryant head coach. Of course, we got the Cave Street School. Now we'll get into some of the churches and I'll finish up with it. First Baptist, what it recently looked like, the Episcopal Church. The Catholic Church, what it looked like. Coach John McWilliams told me he was the last one baptized in that thing. I looked at him and said, well, I know what happened to it. The Christian church, beginning of the Church of Christ, there was a building they burned after that one burned. This one's still there today as classrooms. The Presbyterian, I hope I get all these right. First Methodist, that was up on top of the hill where the police station is. This one is South Mulberry. Which church is on South Mulberry?
Mount Carmel. Mount Carmel Baptist.
That's Mount Carmel? Okay. That's the original Mount Carmel then. I got on here South Mulberry, then I didn't finish it.
What year was that one built?
The what?
What year was it built? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't have that in my notes, so I don't remember it.
Sorry.
This one is St. Paul. Well, I got it at the top so you can see what it is. And then the last one I end with the tall tower on the Episcopal Church. That concludes what I've got today. Now,